Hi, and welcome to the session on work-based learning. We'll be talking about what makes it meaningful, why it matters, and how to scale it in your region. I'm Ankita Jhaveri, Senior Program Manager with JFS, and I'm joined by my colleague Julia Di Bonaventura, Senior Program Manager at JFS as well. This is our agenda for our time together. We'll start by talking about how to design high-quality work-based learning experiences, and then talk about how to move toward developing a continuum of work-based learning experiences that start in middle school, that are sequenced, structured, and build upon each other. This is to ensure that all young people experience a set of activities that are coordinated and aligned toward their career aspirations. Great, so the imperatives of work-based learning. Why does it matter? Work-based learning impacts all stakeholders in the pathway system. We often hear from employers that they can't find the candidates they need to fill their vacancies. The candidates do not have the skills and competencies they're looking for. K through 12 folks often say that they do not have enough information from post-secondary institutions and employers to design a curriculum that ensures that their students are prepared for success beyond high school. Post-secondary institutions are often heard saying that they need more information to ensure that their students are ready to be a successful part of the economy. Economic development corporations often wonder about the skills gap. Why are so many jobs unfilled when we have unemployed folks across the nation? And lastly, students often wonder how to make the best choice for themselves. Is it a degree, a certificate that's stackable and portable? Is it a job? What are the career prospects and advancements for that job? So this slide here shows what we know about the gap between education and business, and this gap highlights the need for work-based learning. On the left-hand side, we see that while 96% of college academic officers say that they are confident that their graduates are ready for the world of work, really only 11% of businesses agree that today's college graduates are ready for the world of work. Then the graph on the right shows the discrepancy between students and employers across 9 highly desired essential employability skills. For example, looking at the first bar, or first set of bars, 64% of students think they possess the skill of teamwork when entering the workforce, whereas employers reported that only 37% of their recent college graduates possessed the skill. This data shows the need for work-based learning, which can really help to align the mismatch between students and employers. Work-based learning is also about equity. There is plenty of research that states that young people today are not advancing economically at the same rate as their parents. The chance for economic advancement are lower today than they have been in the past. Work-based learning can increase access to career prospects, build social capital, and help to build and expand networks for young people, especially young people of color. We know that these opportunities are more widely available to whites than their peers of color. Work-based learning can begin to close this gap. It's a way to disrupt the systemic and institutional barriers within our current education and workforce systems. And this slide zooms in on social capital piece of the puzzle. How can we ensure that even with access to social capital, young people of color have career prospects and opportunities available to them as their white peers? As we look at this slide, a couple of key questions emerge. How can we ensure that all students are fully integrated and included in systems that lead to a full range of opportunities? How can we better support students in accessing and leveraging these systems? So work-based learning has many advantages and benefits, especially when fully integrated into the education and workforce systems within a region. First, it can help to develop core technical and employability competencies. Technical competencies are aligned to the career and post-secondary interests of a young person. They lead to earning certificates and credentials that are stackable and portable. They can also help young people to explore what their interests are and how to align those with their skills. It offers a chance for young people to try out different career options before selecting something that they later on learn might not be their choice. And lastly, it helps to bridge the gap between industry and their future future employers. I will now pass it over to my colleague, Julia.
Thanks, Ankita. This is Julia de Bonaventura. So Ankita just made the case for why work-based learning is such a critical component of our college and career pathways work. We're going to transition now to talk about how we define work-based learning and then think about some strategies for supporting it at scale. So what is it? There are many high-quality and contextualized definitions of work-based learning out there, developed by our partners in the field. But at a base level, the way we at JFF define work-based learning is in this way. It's a set of activities. In other words, it's not just a checklist. It's a set of activities and experiences that are iterative over time. It happens at a workplace, and a young person is engaged in meaningful job tasks that develop skills, knowledge, and job readiness, and supports their entry and advancement into a career field. For young people, work-based learning serves a number of purposes. First, it exposes them to the world of work, to the norms of a professional workplace, and to the expectations of a specific employer or a specific industry. Our education system and our classrooms most often operate in a pretty significantly different way than a professional workplace. So exposure to a workplace is a really meaningful and important experience for a young person. Second, work-based learning exposes someone to a career field or industry and the types of jobs and professionals within that industry. I'm sure many of us have our own stories of working with a teenager who at 16 was convinced they wanted to pursue a career in law or in healthcare, only to have an internship or do a job shadow in that industry and realize pretty quickly that it's not for them. So work-based learning is important for confirming interest or encouraging someone to explore elsewhere. When we build college and career pathway programming or systems that intentionally connects academic and work-based learning, we find that academic learning is strengthened. Academic learning becomes relevant and can be applied in a workplace setting. Longer-term work-based learning opportunities, like internships or apprenticeships, allow for skill development, both technical and employability skills. And then finally, work-based learning is a job, particularly when it's an internship or an apprenticeship. A young person is treated like an employee and is rewarded for their contributions, ideally through financial rewards. The other type of currency that a young person gains through their work-based learning opportunity is an opportunity to build their social capital. Towards the end of our session, we'll share some sample work-based learning continuums from our partners in the field. I wanted to share JFF's work-based learning framework here. In this framework, experiences are increasingly complex and personalized and aligned with specific industries and occupations. At each stage of the framework, we include sample work-based learning models or experiences that support skill and knowledge development along this sequence. There are important characteristics of this framework and work-based learning sequences overall. One, there's a foundation of career exploration and preparation. Jumping right into an apprenticeship experience without significant time spent on career exploration and career readiness is a challenge, certainly for a young person, but also for our employer partners. It's our job to create sequences or continuums of work-based learning experiences that set students up for success. Students should also have the opportunity for continuous meaning making. This can happen in an academic classroom, in career advising and support spaces, in partnership with your community-based organizations. But the bottom line here is that space should be made for a young person to reflect on their learning, articulate the skills they have developed, and be supported to think about what's next for them. Finally, we want to move beyond a work-based learning checklist. Can we build systems so that someone has multiple opportunities for job shadow experiences or internship experiences that are more aligned with their interests and skills as those come into clear focus? Before we move into the next and final piece of our session, I first want to name that standing up work-based learning experiences at even the smallest scale is really, really hard work. Getting this work off the ground can take time. It certainly takes human and financial capacity on both the supply and demand side, and it calls on us to build meaningful partnerships across stakeholder groups. At the same time, we know that when we do have work-based learning systems in place, they often are not reaching all of our students. So as we think about what it might take to scale work-based learning in your community, region, or state, we offer 3 different supporting mechanisms here. The first is standing up a work-based learning intermediary. The second is identifying and deploying technology solutions that help us manage this work and reach more people. And the third is working across stakeholder groups to align on a common language and set of expectations around work-based learning. Work-based learning intermediaries are essential to supporting work-based learning at scale. We often think of them as the glue between education industry and our community-based organizations and workforce systems. They serve a number of functions. They can set and hold a strategic vision for the work. They establish a staffing and organizational plan, so they're making sense of the many players at the table and the staffing capacity necessary to realize the vision for the work. And they serve as a convener. They manage cross-stakeholder partnerships and decision-making processes. They can and do support facilitation of new partnerships across industry and education. They act as just-in-time support for students, educators, and employers, offering technical assistance and troubleshooting as things come up. And finally, they manage and monitor key metrics that can tell us what's working and who it is working for. Here we highlight 4 ways that technology can be used to support work-based learning at scale. First, there are a number of online curriculum resources that education and community-based organization partners use to support career exploration and preparation. Second, tools like Naviance or Zello, which many of you are likely using, help us to streamline and manage individualized college and career information and support college and career planning for young people. There are technology solutions such as Emblaze or Seamless Work-Based Learning or Launchpath that many of our partners in the field use to manage and streamline work-based learning workflow. And finally, for many of our partners, particularly our partners who are in more rural areas of the country, opportunity to engage in simulations or game-based solutions fills a gap within their work-based learning system that can often be a challenge to find a solution for. So we see virtual internships, virtual job shadows, all those kinds of things that happen in the classroom that engage students and support their career exploration and readiness. Finally, we find it's a really useful process to convene stakeholders together around building a set of expectations and language around work-based learning. So we'll share 3 examples right now from our partners in the field of work-based learning continuums or frameworks that they have been working on and working hard on for quite a while that really aligns their partners around a common set of expectations and language. So this first one that you see here is the Illinois PACE framework. It was developed with extensive input gathered from stakeholders and subject matter experts, and it provides guidance to students, families, and educators on what types of experiences and information a student should have in order to make the most informed decision about college and career planning. The second continuum that we share here was developed and led by our partners in Hawaii P20. And again, you see here that It's a sequence of experiences and examples of activities that a young person would engage in over time. And what I really like about the Hawaii Work-Based Learning Continuum is that they include this vision on the far right side of their continuum. It's an idea of what everybody in the system can be working towards in order to most successfully support our students and our economy. And the last framework we'll share is from New York City. Our partners in New York leading an initiative called Career Ready NYC out of the Center for Youth Employment in New York City put forth their career readiness framework. And again, you see that over stages, young people and employers are able to see clearly what they should be learning about and be able to do at each stage of the continuum. For all three of these examples, it's really important to note that the process to getting to these documents, one, was likely not easy and took quite a bit of time, but was really important for relationship building and partnership development across stakeholder groups. And so these documents represent a vision that everybody in these communities holds for what young people should be experiencing around work-based learning and career readiness. And once we align on common language and common set of expectations, we find it's easier to scale opportunities and to offer more experiences to more young people. So that is what we have today. Thanks to Ankita, and thank you all for joining us and for your time.